All right, cool. So, hey everybody, I have finally doing another commented replay. This time I'm with Hoko, who's actually
Hello.
played in this game. So instead of me kind of telling you what I think about it, what everything wrong that everyone did, Hoko can say, "Oh yeah, I screwed up because of X, Y, Z." Hopefully that's interesting. For folks who are less familiar with Spring 1944, Hoko and I are two of the developers. I'm Nemo, one of the game designers, and Hoko has written a whole bunch of excellent code for us in the last couple months. Um, so, the game is a 2v2. It's already kind of getting off to action in the middle, but I'll talk about the map real quick and Hoko just, chime in whenever. Um, Top, we have Kmar and Buumi, who Kmar is playing Soviets as usual. Buumi's playing Japan. In the south, bottom left, we have Hoko, who's playing US, and Zhao, who's playing Germany. So something to kind of see immediately is that uh, Kmar did the usual Soviet start. He got all his stuff right in the middle and was fairly successful at it. He got his uh, MG set up, and yeah, so he's pretty much got the middle flag, which is a really kind of strong start if you're playing Soviets.
It is worth noting that Jal managed to sneak an 80 gun and snipe both the AA gun and the 80 gun of Kmar. One of the most important things in this Soviet start is that they can put an AA gun in the middle to block it from any infantry
Oh yeah, good
advance.
call. I totally missed. I was too busy yapping about the map, and I missed that. Yeah, good. I can see the corpses. Cool. Good spot. So
Now
yeah,
the
okay. So
left, in the left, Kmar is trying to mine
oh yeah.
the flank,
Uh-huh.
which is good because, as you can see, it is just being used for advancing.
Yeah. Oh, you bringing up the left path. So one of the characteristics of this map, for folks who haven't played it, is I find it a really nice balance of infantry and vehicle play because you've got the wide open spots, kind of on the right hand side of the map and then up in the upper left, which are great for tanks and vehicles and whatnot, as well as the roads. But these side paths and these hills tend to be really heavy infantry play. And so I can see Hoko is already thinking that, going for the long flank on the left side.
Um, Note that the left and the right are very different. In the right, there's a very wide place for vehicle, as it stated, but in the left, you have huge places where you have basically hills that are only pathable by infantry. Now, these hills don't contain any flags. That means they don't give you any income. On the other hand, they allow for excellent outflanking and grabbing back flags of the enemy. In this game, I decided not to go for the hills at all, and you can see me deploying static machine guns to block any flanking infantry coming from that way.
Yeah, that's a really good call. I've played a bunch of games on this map where I ended up sinking just a huge amounts of resources and infantry into those center hills, and they just not really for any tangible gain, just to kind of keep myself from getting rushed from that direction. So yeah, the defensive approach there makes a lot of sense to me. So let's talk about what's happening on the right side with Boomy and Zhao.
Mhm.
So Zhao already has martyrs. Boomy still has one of his initial tankettes, it looks like. And Zhao just lost his martyr to the rocket mortar. So yeah, I mean, just as a really quick read, like Zhao's teching up pretty heavily, going for vehicles, so he doesn't have as much stuff on the ground right now. Yeah.
While Buumi goes for the tent barracks,
Oh yeah.
which um, he puts in the hills in a more advanced position. That means he'll be able to field more infantry faster. Now look in the middle, you can
Yeah. Huh?
see a single soldier
Oh yeah.
getting
Oh,
Kemal's
nice, because you got
machine
behind
gun
the
and
MG.
mortar. That actually cleared the path for all other infantry to basically storm the middle.
Wow,
On the
that's amazing.
left, top left, I
Oh
got the
yeah.
flag in the exact
Nice.
same time.
Very
It
nice.
was basically.
Yeah, and so another note about the way the resources work in Spring 1944. So flags gain value the longer you hold them. So one of the reasons Hoko went to capture the flag that was all the way in the top left up there was that it's one of the flags that Kmar has had the longest. So it was one of his most valuable sources of income. So by capturing it, Hoko kind of reset the clock on that. So even if Kmar takes it back, he's still been sort of set back in the resource game. So nice move.
Also of note is the bus service. You can see I'm using 2 trucks at the moment to ferry infantry from a start point
Oh yeah, cool.
to the rest, and it saves lots of time. Just
Yeah. I mean, if in the off chance that someone not familiar with Spring is watching this video, this is one of the pieces of UI in Spring that I really love, and without which it's really hard to play other RTS games, where you can take a unit and say, do this sequence of commands repeatedly forever. So, setting up transports to get units from one place to another is really kind of a trivial thing compared to a lot of games, where I might have to issue the orders every single time I had a group of units I wanted to move.
in the right, you can see Kmar donated a Russian tank destroyer
Oh yeah, okay,
to
yep,
Buumi,
nice.
which currently just controls this side, and it's picking out um, Jarl's half tracks.
Yeah, right. I mean, the vehicles just don't have anything that can touch that. I mean, the Martyr, if he gets lucky, but even a Martyr will probably take a few shots to the front armor of that thing. It's
Yes.
at the SU-85. I noticed you captured another deep flag there. You waltzed
Ah,
right up the
yes.
middle. Very nice. And how do you keep putting infantry into? I just saw the one random guy who was walking into Kmar's starting location. I guess. Oh, it was
So
just he just went through the hills, didn't he?
yeah, I
Okay.
suppose I'm really not sure.
So you're going tanks, yeah. Okay, so you already have a tank yard up, and you got Shermans out. I mean, you knew it. Kmar had tank destroyers at this point, but you still went for it. What was
Uh,
kind of in your mind?
I believe I started going tanks before, so the tank
Oh,
destroyer.
okay, sure.
So, and I really thought Kmar is going to rush T-34s.
Ah, okay. Well, it's a classic move. You can't be
Yeah,
faulted for thinking he would do that.
yeah.
Okay,
But
cool.
note how Buumi manages to just destroy all of Jarl's infantry,
Yeah,
and he's advancing really, really nicely.
yeah. And so I guess another little like beginner's note
And
here. Yeah, go ahead.
mhm. No, sorry, that's another 10th barracks in the south.
In the south. Oh yeah, wow. He has three of them. Cool. Um, yeah, well, I just wanted to say you noted that Boomy is being really successful in keeping Zhao's infantry numbers low, and as a result, he's also keeping Zhao's vehicle numbers low. Um, so the little tidbit there about S44 gameplay is that the vehicles tend to have a really small line of sight. They can't see very far, and so they're really dependent on infantry support to be able to see the enemy and fire their long-range weapons. So if you are able to kind of keep that infantry screen from building up, you can do a lot of you can do a lot to the enemy's vehicles because they're effectively blind. And Boomy did exactly that. He only has a single tank destroyer, but he had total infantry superiority, and so Zhao had to keep running away with his vehicles or just get them popped. In this case, he got them popped. Um, yeah, and that's that. Um, yeah, wow.
There's a small cat and mouse in the top left corner.
Oh, nice. Yeah, wow. You're really all about the aggressive infantry flanks. This is awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm really enjoying this. I can see you're struggling a little bit with the bottleneck going into Kmar's base.
Yes, well, in this is when I saw the tank destroyers just destroy my Shermans
Yeah, right.
when I can't really penetrate the armor.
Yeah. So we'll show off one of the things that Hoko wrote recently. If you hover over the enemy, you can see
You
how
can't say
much.
it as a spectator.
Oh, you can't as a spectator. Damn. Okay.
No,
Oh well.
yeah, that's
Okay. Well, you'll all have to take my word for it that Hoko wrote a really cool piece of UI that lets you see how much penetration a shell would do. Um, shame. Oh well. But well, so you can always see I have the numbers here. You can see one of them does 54 millimeters of penetration, and this tank destroyer is 77 on the frontal armor. So trying to like kind of push forwards through these tank destroyers is going to be a world of hurt. And indeed, Hoko's kind of lost his infantry, and so he runs his tanks back. Um, but also captured the top left flag, which was pretty slick.
just look in factory is Kmar's base.
Yeah, I'm
Kmar's
watching right now. This is pretty awesome. Oh man, are you gonna get his home flag? Yes. Yeah, awesome. Oh, I'm so happy about that. Oh, nice. Oh, do you get the boom? And there's the tank destroyer yard.
hmm
Wow, that's big. I mean, and at the same time, Jal's getting torn to pieces, but that was pretty sweet. Um, yeah, I wonder. Huh, cool. And oh, I can see he ordered his tank destroyers way out. That was kind of weird. Um, but I guess
I
he's.
believe it was probably lack of sight.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Okay, I'm gonna move back over to see what Boomy and Jal
Yeah,
are
with
doing.
Jal.
There's a. Were you aware of how badly Jal was suffering?
I'm slightly aware. I did send a single Sherman, but I was also having my Shermans exploding. So
Yeah, right. Yeah,
basically, I could be more helpful, but in hindsight,
with the perfect vision of a spectator, you can say,
yeah.
maybe I should have done a little more. Yeah, but yeah, wow. I mean, I watched this game briefly as it was happening, but I didn't realize just how far back Zhao was pushed.
Yeah.
I mean, all but two flags.
Well, it did just make two stugs,
Ah,
and
yeah, you're right.
these are very, very strong. They have a very powerful front armor, and since they can't rotate the turrets, they're always facing with the front armor where it should be.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Although I see Boomy is trying to snipe the tank yard with the rocket mortar. He's landed one or two hits. Oh, and
Yeah.
Zhao's repairing it. Cool. Oh man, it's so close. I, 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 if he loses that, that's, I mean, oh,
hmm
but he sent the tank up. Okay, so he killed the storage. Oh, he did lose it. He lost the tank yard. Okay.
Indeed, he
Wow.
did.
Okay. And in the same time, you're kind of suffering in the middle. It looks like a lot of your tanks got picked
Yes.
off. It's
And I'm
full.
back. I've started because of this. I started to make Wolverines,
Ah,
hoping I'm going to hit the tank destroyers. Um,
of course.
the how do you call it? The bad thing is that they can't hit the infantry,
Right,
so I
right.
still have to rely um, on my dying Shermans
Yeah,
to
right.
hit the infantry.
I'm
Wow.
watching them evaporate.
hmm
Yeah, so a quick unit note. So the Wolverines are tank destroyers, Shermans are tanks. Tank destroyers, kind of broadly speaking, tend to have less armor than tanks, and they can only shoot at other vehicles. They can't. They don't have any explosive rounds, so they don't fire at infantry. So with the U.S., the Wolverine is it's got a rotating turret, so that's good, but it has very little armor. With Germany, for example, or the Soviet Union, their tank destroyers tend to have a fair amount of armor, even a lot of armor on the front, but no turret. So they have to turn to face whatever they're targeting, and if you
hmm
flank them with light tanks, you can usually do a pretty good amount of damage. So, okay, I just watched a bunch of things of yours evaporate in the middle. To go back over to Jal and Boomy, Jal's pushed himself back out, and just like you said with the Stugs, it looks like Boomy doesn't have a great answer to the to Jal's armor right now, and Jal was even able to rebuild his tank yard at the same time.
Bumi also has a problem with supply. He has mortar in the correct place, but he
Oh
doesn't have any
yeah,
supply.
good point. Yeah, okay, so he does. Yeah, I can see that. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't actually been paying attention to resources much at all. So, okay. Looking at Kmar, plus 77, using it all up, but pretty well in terms of logistics. Buumi, yeah, moderate logistics, but he's not using very much, really just the rocket mortar, 78, using it all. And then you and Zhao are almost plus 100, plus 95. And you at least have some money in the bank, just a little bit. Cool. Yeah, and I can see that of everybody, you were probably the one who was investing most in logistics with the big supply storage for the U.S. So
hmm
you've got a pretty substantial supply lead right now.
In a few seconds, the supply will refill, and I'll get back. You can see I'm deploying a truck to get supply in the front lines.
Yes, yes, cool. Yeah, makes sense. Um, yeah, he really. I'm surprised that Kmar was able to push out so successfully. You had him pretty well clumped in there for a while,
Yeah,
and
the tank destroyers were just really successful
yeah, yeah.
against.
Well, especially given that you took out his tank destroyer yard, I'm surprised that he was still able to kind of push you around so much. I mean, like you look at these blobs and you have a lot more force, but I guess he's able to keep your infantry numbers low enough that he keeps sniping you.
Hmm.
I mean, these two
Well,
tank destroyers have the one at least has a ton of experience.
yeah, well, they've just
Ooh,
died
nice
in my
flank.
replay.
Nice
Yeah.
flank with the Wolverine in the middle. Just what I was saying about turreted units being able to sneak around the turretless ones.
Hmm.
Nice. This is
You can
cool.
see a very weird thing in Jal and Buumi, where Buumi basically um,
Whoa.
contained Jal's base,
Whoa.
but
An encirclement.
yeah, but it's not enough
Yeah, right. It's just infantry.
if Jal brings the vehicles
Yeah, I'm kind of.
and planes.
Yeah, oh, that's what Boomy was teching to. I was a little confused where Boomy's vehicles were at this point, because like,
Hmm.
he had a bunch of the map for a while. He was really pushing on Jal, and then once Jal started getting the armor out there, there was just like it just evaporated.
Hmm.
He didn't have anything ready.
Now you can see me sending some tanks to Bumi's base. This was a very bad attempt because Bumi was prepared with anti-tank infantry.
Well, it looks like he's got it going south right now, but I think the fact that you were spotted by those infantry at the flag probably. Oh, and he had a squad finish right as soon as that happened. I see.
Yeah,
But yeah, indeed, choke point plus anti-tank infantry
yeah.
is a tough situation. Boom. There they go. Oh man, you didn't even get one of them through, huh? Oh,
Nope.
oh, it did. No, okay. That was that. um, it's really interesting to me that in this game, nobody contested the hills between you and Kmar. That's really unusual for a Road to Rome game.
Yes, that's exactly why uh, I at least know I didn't want to because I knew the Russians have cheaper infantry, and in the hills everything is about grenades on the
Yeah,
one
right.
hand, and on the other hand they have the Pepper
Yep.
which the Russian submachine gun, which will just destroy my units
Yeah,
easily.
absolutely. No, I mean, I think you definitely made the right decision. I'm surprised he didn't kind of force you to engage along those lines, especially given that he could pretty much hold off your armor pushing through the choke point.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Okay, he went for some artillery, but it looks like you didn't really suffer too much from it.
No, it's just a single gun,
Yeah,
and he didn't have any line of sight on my base,
yeah,
which prevented it from being any accurate.
right, right. Okay, so do you want to explain that mechanic real quick?
Yes, well, artillery alone basically hits nothing. It's very inaccurate, and it just lets you, well, hit a very large area in random places. On the other hand, if you get any um, unit with a sight where you try to hit, um, the accuracy improves significantly. That you can uh, even snipe certain buildings. Um, for instance, it's very useful to try and snipe um, storages, which will mean my tanks won't be able to fire on any of his vehicles. This would have meant game if he succeeded.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
note he's trying to sneak a commissar to my base.
oh
He's
yeah, I do
thinking
see
the
that.
ecstasy, but I spread infantry all around my base uh, beforehand, exactly against such scouting.
Uh-huh. And I can see you advanced some infantry kind of through the hills towards his gun, but as we kind of talked
Yeah,
about, he had a
that's
couple MGs there and then lots of Russian infantry and or Soviet
yeah.
infantry, so not much to do. But yeah, I mean, so for like Hoko just said, I'm looking at the attack order on the gun that Kmar issued, and you can see it's right on top of the storage, but it says no sight, which means that it's firing inaccurately, just like Hoko said. So you know, even though it's right at Hoko's base, it's just kind of like hitting random stuff. Um, and in the meantime, you're doing a little better in the middle. It looks like he's still got a couple of tank destroyers,
Note how,
but
but Jal is doing like
oh yeah,
really well.
yeah, he pushed all the way back out. So yeah, so I mean, do you think this is just because Boomy went air and like it didn't pay off for him? I can see you have an
I think
anti-air gun there.
it's two things. It's both Buumi's air and the fact that we had more income. We like consistently had more income for a very long period of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, is that
Um,
because you sniped those rear flags or because you held them? I guess Kmar had the middle for probably an equal
the,
amount of time or
yeah,
less.
probably.
But yeah, I mean, even right now, I just watched you cap that center north flag, and start moving your dudes into his base,
Yeah, and that's basically
and that's a
the end point.
huge disadvantage.
Now I'm bringing the tanks there, and this time I'm protected from anti-tank units because I have the sight provided by
Yep,
the infantry.
exactly. Yep, cool. So you're clearing out the anti-tank infantry, and yeah, cool. But yeah, and every time I look back over it at the situation with Zhao, it's just like more stuff of Boomies has evaporated, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty strong.
But that's yeah,
Japan is just not very strong against vehicles. At least not if they don't have tanks. And
yeah,
Bumi's air was slightly successful, but not enough.
yeah. And well, I mean, Zhao at this point has a bunch of anti-air vehicles, and you know,
Yeah,
German armor in general is like really strong. So if you don't have good anti-tank guns, it's really difficult to deal with. So yeah,
mhm.
it's just, huh. Oh man. And then I'm watching Kmar's tank destroyers get swarmed by your guys. I guess he must have been paying attention to something else, probably
Mm,
those infantry up north. Um, but and yeah, okay, and that's it. So
mhm,
you can see Hoko moved into Bumi's base, and that was the end of everything. Yeah, so I'll show everyone the stats real quick because that's always kind of interesting. I think I'm more excited about like the flow of the game maybe than the average player. But so the stats I find really useful are active units, which kind of gives you a sense of how present a given player was on the field over the course of time. And I think this story is really interesting actually. So you can see the orange line is Boomy and the blue one is Jiao. Right around 22 minutes, Boomy has like 200 active units. That's when he had infantry all over the right side of the map. Um, and then shortly thereafter, probably at 30 minutes, you can see that line for Boomy just plummets off a cliff. And that really reflects what we were seeing as Zhao kind of shoved his way up the right side, and you know Boomy's stuff kept evaporating. The kind of flip side of that is of course damage dealt and received. Um, so Boomy's damage dealt was pretty solid through the game. Zhao's was kind of steadily rising. Damage received, Zhao also took a lot of damage. Yeah, both of you guys were kind of damage sinks, I guess. Um,
mhm.
eh,
That's part of the advantage of having more income.
right, you can just throw
Basically,
stuff.
yes. Yeah, well, as long as the ratio is good and they're losing a bigger ratio of their income than you are, you're going to win
Yeah, right,
eventually.
right, totally.
And it allows me to divert my attention to more parts of the front and to flank and do things like that, as long as I keep sensible casualties where I don't
Right,
look.
right. Yeah, as long as your exchanges aren't like totally catastrophic, you know,
Hmm.
you guys had, I mean, from like looks like 20 minutes onwards, you had a substantial income advantage, and it never really changed. So yeah, cool. All right, well, any closing thoughts on the game, Hoko?
No, I think it's a um, very good example of the gameplay on Road to Rome, especially. Um, Even though it didn't have enough fights on the hills, um, but fairly it was a very interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching it, particularly seeing, like, you know, the first time I watched it, I totally expected Boomy to just like walk all over Zhao. You know,
Yeah,
he had guys everywhere. He killed Zhao's first tank yard, and you know, typically kind of skill matchup wise, Boomy often has a bit of an edge over Jal. So I was really expecting the right side of the map for your team to collapse and then you to be in like real trouble,
I
trying to
think
deal with Boomy's infantry.
I think it boiled down to several factors that were in favor of Jal. First, he had more income. Secondly, he was Germany against Japan, and Germany's armor, once Jal managed to crank up tanks and stags, they were practically indestructible by
Right, right,
Bumi
right,
without the planes. And planes were countered. I've put an anti-air gun in Jal's
right. Yeah, I
side of
noticed
the
that.
map, and also, Jal started making anti-air guns. Even if Bumi did manage to hit some of his tanks, it cost him more
Right, because he
than
lost the
he would
planes
have
in the
wanted.
process. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and all these factors together meant that he couldn't really oppose Jal's advance.
Right, right.
If I were Bumi, I'd probably go either for tanks. Japan has some really nasty tanks with very um, high explosive damage that can
Right.
deal with Germany's tanks. Or on the other hand, they have a tank destroyer that in numbers uh, can probably
Hmm.
at least slow down the advance and allow um, usage of the infantry.
Yeah, totally. The other significant thing I think is that so like Kmar had the tech to help Boomy deal with Jal's vehicles. He even shared him a tank destroyer really early on.
Mm-hmm.
But you were putting enough pressure on him with your own armor and vehicles that he couldn't. I guess he felt like he couldn't afford to send anything over Boomy's way to kind of stop the onslaught, so to speak.
Yeah,
So cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot. This has been fun.
thank you.
We should do it again.
Indeed.
Okay. See you later, everybody. I will maybe do this again sometime soon.
Bye.
See ya.